For this video, we're going to present other programming functions, specifically spending some time discussing the clear and the time functions. And let's get started. The clear function is used when you want a clear out the value of a variable. So let's say we have x equals 5 and y equals 7, and we got z equals x plus y equals 12. And so later on in the worksheet, we want to use x again, but we want to make sure it's clear. So we say clear x, and we have to use the equal sign. If we get a 1, that means true. It got clear. So up above here, before the clear, if I say x equals, it gives me x equals 5. But below the clear, if I say x equals, he actually says, well, you got to enter a value for my x because I don't have any value. All right. So let's say we want to clear x and y. We use this, and over here we define the x and y have some values assigned to it, whereas here they don't. So that's basically the purpose of the clear button. We could add a z in here, and again, if we have a z equal, we have a value here, but over here there is no value. So that's the idea behind the use of clear. In programming, you can use it as the top statement in a function, in a program, if you want to make sure that those variables, those intermediate variables that you use, A, B, C, and D, are not used before. The x in this case is the argument. You don't want to put the x in here because if you put the x, you clear the argument, and basically you have no argument to go into your functions. So you just clear those intermediate variables that you want to use, like in this case, you calculate those, and calculate the summation of these values. Now, what we're looking at this statement is through the use of the fx function. When we go for programming, we presented cases in the last video. We're now doing for clear. The for statement with 3 entries, we have used it before. The for statement with 4 entries, to tell you the truth, it wasn't clear to me what it does, so I'm skipping it for the time being. The if we know, the line we have used before. So then the next one is time. The time function returns the number of milliseconds that have elapsed since 12 midnight January 1st, 1601 AD. Why the particular value, I think, has to do with Julian timing, but I'm not sure. Anyway, if you just type time x, and you can use any argument here, x, you can use y, it just shows how many milliseconds have been elapsed since that time. And you can see that even this current evaluation with the evaluation that I did a couple of days ago is exactly the same, because the difference would be in the last digits. Let me see if I click in here and do a right click and say decimal places, and I got 4 decimal places. Let's try 15, and I'm gonna drag this over here and also try 15 and see if that makes any difference. And indeed, you can see it's 26653. It's okay. 794 are there, but then you have the 8, but the last 3 digits, then 915 versus 933 is different. So that's where you can get some difference in the times. And basically, the main application of this time function will be to time the processing time of a program. What you want to do is assign the time t1, and n here is the same argument as here. But as I mentioned, it doesn't matter what you put in here. So this is measuring the time at the beginning of the program. Then we go initializing. We have a loop there that calculates the sum of s plus n. And then when you're done with that, you calculate the time again, this t2, and calculate the time increment t2 minus t1, and show the summation the summation and the time elapsed. And so I have an example here. If I just add one value, it basically takes 0 time, right? If I add 10,000 values, that takes 0.02 seconds, 2 thousandths of a second. If I type, I'm sorry, this is for 100 elements. This is the value of the sum. If I use 1,000 elements in the sum, I get to 0.017 seconds. That's 17 milliseconds. If I use 10,000, now I'm on 0.252 seconds. Then I try that for 100,000 and 1,000,000 and 10 million, but I didn't include them here because it will slow down the program. So for 100,000, the time is 1.531 seconds. For 1,000,000, it's 16.86 seconds. Now in SMath Studio, 16 seconds is a lot of time because you can do a whole lot of other things in that time. If you use 10 million, then we have 170.44 seconds, and that's almost 3 minutes. Okay, so this is one of the main uses of the function time to figure out the time that a process takes to complete. And so looking at the other functions in here for programming, we have line, already did our time, and then there's the function trace. Now this has to do with debugging, and to tell you the truth, I'm not too familiar with it, so I don't even dare to give any example for that. And that way we have completed this second video on other programming functions. And actually this concludes my videos for the introductory programming part in SMath Studio.